Hey, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. So today I wanted to talk about a software project that I found a few months back that I recommended to my boss at the Futo organization for either funding for some sort of long-term project or some sort of short-term grant. And he actually thought, well, let's hire the entire team. They're really good. The reason that I recommended this is because it solves a problem that I've noticed within the Android ecosystem now that I think really needs to be solved. And that is the problem of being able to browse through photos. The options that you have right now, in my opinion, are garbage. The Android ecosystem used to be, in my opinion, much better, even back as 5 years ago. So let's go over your options when it comes to photos. You can get a micro SD card slot, so you can not have to worry about offloading your videos and choosing which videos you have on your phone and cutting down your music collection and all this type of stuff. You can have a micro SD card slot, but then you have to buy a low-end phone where the camera is trash. You can buy a high-end phone that has a good camera, but then when you buy the phone with a better camera, then you're stuck with a phone that doesn't have a micro SD card slot. And even if you want a terabyte of storage, many manufacturers don't even offer it. And the ones that do, oh my God, they are going to price gouge the crap out of you to get it. You could buy a Sony phone where you're going to spend $1,300, $1,500 on a phone just so that you can have a micro SD card slot. And you get an old version of Android where you get updates slower than what you would get if you bought a used $400 Pixel. Best part of it is you cannot encrypt a micro SD card anymore. Android back in the Samsung S10 days allowed you to do that. So if you had sensitive information or sensitive pictures of any type on your micro SD card and you lost your phone, you didn't have to worry about somebody screwing with it or taking the stuff off, not using it to blackmail you or whatever. And now you lose that functionality. So in my opinion, when it comes to this, the Android ecosystem really sucks. And in my opinion, this is also done for one damn good reason, so that they could sell you cloud services. A, makes the phone cheaper. Don't have to engineer a micro SD card slot or input it, figure out how to waterproof that thing anymore. Figure out how to put that on the board. It's cheaper, less stuff. And B, why make it better when you can use the fact that the device has been made worse to upsell you on more storage as well as cloud-hosted solution? And then you're stuck, unless you do that, using a solution like Google Photos to store your stuff, which means it's stored on the cloud, which means, as you can see, according to this New York Times article I covered 2.5 years ago, if somebody there just wants to report you for being a P file system, they can do that without any sort of due process and get you in trouble with the cops for a year because you sent a medical photos to a doctor during COVID when lockdowns did not allow you to go to the doctor. Google, in my opinion, is a trash company when it comes to these things, but the unfortunate reality is that they're the only ones making solutions that, in my opinion, don't suck, that they load fast. They allow you to search for things really quickly. Or you can have an Apple iPhone and use iCloud, and again, you're stuck in their ecosystem. You can't self-host your own instance. You get the fappening, when it comes to security, there are some issues there. And, above all, in my opinion, you're stuck buying their hardware with their limitations. You can only install their apps. That's something that's really a downside. Now, I use something called Nextcloud. Nextcloud allows me to have my contacts, which I would usually use Gmail for, my notes, which I used to use Google Keep for, my calendar, which I used to use Google for, my photos, which I used to use my micro SD card slot for. I can do all that stuff, but I can do it on a self-hosted, self-managed solution. And it's really great, except for the bugs. Which I could do an hour-long video on the bugs. But needless to say, when I use this software Immich, it is actually faster at rendering and loading photos than on a Intel NUC i3 processor from 5 years ago than Nextcloud is when I have a Core i7-14700K server. It has a lot of features that Nextcloud doesn't have. Nextcloud allows you to have image proxies, but it doesn't allow you to have video proxies when browsing through things. It has in artificial intelligence and in order to classify your stuff. So I can do stuff like this when I use Immich. I could literally search cat on chair, and this shit is going to find images and videos of the cat on the chair. You'll see that even though I am going out of my way to connect to a throttled, dirt cheap, slow Wi-Fi just so that I can do this video, I've purposely throttled it. You can see that because it's loading a proxy, the clip loads instantly. The reason I find this type of image hosting, whether it's Nextcloud or Immich, really important nowadays is because you don't have space on your phone to store stuff anymore. And even if you do have space on your phone, it's nice to have the option to have these types of archives that have searchability that is missing in the stock gallery app that you're usually only going to get in the types of apps that mine your data. This is not training Google's algorithm. Google doesn't know anything about any of this stuff. I don't have to upload it to their server so it doesn't get deleted for God knows how much. It probably gets used to advertise to me and all this other BS. This is running on my own local machine. And best of all, unlike Nextcloud, these are video proxies. So I've purposely throttled my Wi-Fi so it works slow as crap for the purpose of this video, just so I can demonstrate to you on this throttled separate Wi-Fi that I have that the clip loads instantly, because I'm allowed to encode video proxies and image proxies, whereas Nextcloud only allows you to have Immich proxy. So it loads instantly. I can choose the quality and the encoding speed and everything else of the proxies so that I can set it to where I want. And the best part of all of this is not on the internet. This machine, this virtual machine that I have, is blocked from connecting to the internet. It can only connect locally. So my phone has to be on Wi-Fi or use WireGuard in order to connect to the instance. So anywhere I am in the world, I use WireGuard, I log into my local network, and I can see every one of my photos. This artificial intelligence, everything that this is using, does not have to ever leave your server. I can have this on a Debian Linux machine. I can encrypt the entire drive, so if anybody steals that, good luck getting any of the data off of that shit. And they are not going to be able to get access to any of my things, nor do I have to worry about this AI phoning home because it's an open source piece of software that works if you don't connect it to the internet. I can scroll to the entire thing, and again, by the end, you don't see a cat in the chair anymore, but you see a couple of cat in the chair because it's like really going through the results, but they load instantly, even when I throttle the crap out of the Wi-Fi, because this software is very efficient. When I run HTOP or do uptime on that Linux server and I'm scrolling through with Nextcloud, it's using way more CPU than this actually is because it's very efficient. I genuinely believe in this software, and I'm not going to go through and do a giant demo because the longer I let a demo go through, the more likely a picture that you're not supposed to see is going to show up on here for 2 billion subscribers, and somebody's going to call me and want to kill me. And we're just not going there. We're not going there. Feel free to try this software for yourself. It is open source, and what I've suggested to my boss is hire these people. This literally fills the 5 pillars of Futo software, which is the software must be open source. It's AGPL. You must be able to self-manage or self-host your own instance. Anything that is cloud that has a server to the client, you need to be able to run your own server. 3, no ads, no tracking, no spyware. B, no crypto shitcoins of any kind. It must be crypto agnostic if you deal with crypto. And number 5, the most important, it must not suck. No open source software where they do 75 or 85% of the work to get that kick of dopamine that it works, and then forget about the last 15% that is necessary for it to be usable. That's what we're doing with this piece of software. So I found this thing. I think it's great. I thought the team are really excellent people. Alex and everybody working, they have a really positive attitude, and they want to make this great. And Aaron, my boss, decided, yeah, let's give them millions of dollars to work on this thing full time over the next several years. Now, typically, when an open source project has an infusion of capital by a billionaire, 99% of the time, you are right to think that's fucking bad. Something bad is about to happen here. I don't know what it is, but there's going to be a catch. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to have an hour-and-a-half long talk with the community where we answer your questions, both the easy ones and the very difficult ones, to give you an idea of how this works. This is an organization that I've worked at for almost 2 years now. And one of the things you may have noticed about my channel, even though I'm at 2 million subscribers and I've been here on YouTube for 12 years, is if you look back all of my videos, 3,000 plus videos, there are 0 outside sponsors. None. No Audible. No Raycons, no BetterHelp bullshit, no nonsense, no nothing. The only thing that I've sold on this channel is like hot air stations from my own store and stuff or like Mr. Clinton mouse pads. There is no paid sponsorship on this channel. When I have clicked the paid sponsorship box, it is literally because I am discussing a piece of free or open source software that I hired the developers for and that we're paying because we think that they're making something cool that is free. But yeah, there's no sponsored content. The point of me mentioning that is I am not going to be associating myself with any individual or company if I sense even a 1% chance of screwery that they are going to pull a rug pull on their users. The individual that I work for now is the person that donated $1 million to Repair Preservation Group and suggested that I take my advocacy work seriously and start a real nonprofit. That was 4 years ago in August of 2020. It has been almost 4 years to that point. I have not been asked once to this day by Aaron what I have done with his money. I have gotten right to repair bills passed. Some of them are good. Some of them not so good. We've made a lot of guides on repair.wiki and old.repair.wiki. I have not once been asked to edit myself. I have not once been asked to change my approach to things. Sometimes he hears about what I'm doing. He's like, I don't really know if I agree with that, but like, you do you. That's the approach that he's had. So the reason that I am associating with this business and the reason I'm associating with this individual, as somebody that has not sold an sponsored ad spot on YouTube with 2 million subscribers for 12 years, is because I actually believe that this is not a screw job. So I'd like to answer all of your questions so that you can also feel somewhat comfortable in trying out this software. And the most important point to get at here, and this is the theme I'm going to cover throughout this interview, is when it comes to trust. Don't trust me. what I've said on this channel for the past 12 years. If I am taking donations to create educational guides for Repair.wiki, it should be to a 501c3 nonprofit where I can personally claim ownership of the intellectual property later if I want. The system and the infrastructure should be set up at a fundamental level so that you don't have to trust me, because you should not trust me. I go over many people on this channel that do not deserve your trust. And the person who deserves the least trust of all of them is me. When it comes to this piece of software, many people are asking, how should we trust you? Why should we trust him? Why should we trust that this is, you know what? You shouldn't trust me, and you shouldn't trust him or the organization. What you should trust in are the processes and policies. Futo wants to create processes and policies for this software so you can trust us by virtue of not having to. How do you know there's not going to be ads and anything else? It's open source, it's AGPL. If we try to do that, feel free to fork it and take it back. Everything from the contracts that we've written, from the software being AGPL to the way that we're presenting the software is all being done in a manner where you don't have to trust me. I don't want to be put in a position where you are being asked to trust me or somebody that I'm referring you to as a trustworthy person. We want to create systems here at Futo where you fundamentally don't have to trust us. And the reason that it becomes a trustworthy brand is because everything that is done here is done under this umbrella of you can trust us because all of our systems are fundamentally designed to where you don't have to. Read the source code, run your own server, run your own instance, look for yourself and see. What we want to do is we want to try and change the culture. The problem that we have nowadays is that even if you want something that is good, that is open source or whatever else, even if you're willing to pay 4 times what you would pay for the closed-sourced, spying on you, ad-ridden solution, it doesn't exist. The sad reality is that the industry has shifted so much that most of these companies realize the real money is in monetizing user data or abusive closed-source business models. And as a result of this, everybody is copying these closed-source, ad-ridden, abusive business models. So we would like to do an experiment. If we make software that is better than the closed-source solutions, that has better support, better service, doesn't abuse you, infinite free trial period, no DRM, no ads, open source, and is fairly affordable when you choose to pay, will people pay for it? We want to try and create a new market and a new precedent. If we can actually get people to pay for open source software that doesn't abuse them and show you that it can actually be better than the closed source solution, can we create a culture and a community that encourages people to pay for good things so that rather than us being the products, we can finally go back to being the customer? What we'd like to do here with the ability to provide support is not only fund the creation of more features in the application, bug fixes and anything else, but if you're the type of person like my stepmom that when you go to set up a server, you listen to Docker pull and you think that means a boat coming into a dock, we will also be looking into creating our own cloud-hosted solutions if you want us to handle that for you and if you want to run your own, because again, everybody on this channel understands the cloud is somebody else's computer. You'll be more than welcome to do so. With that said, I am going to play the 1.5 hour long talk that we had where we answer all the community questions. And if you have questions that have not been answered here about the organization itself, you're more than happy to ask in the comments, or I may do a follow-up live stream later where you can ask and answer these questions.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Immich Q&A live stream. We are going to be talking about Immich joining Futo and answering questions from the community. It's been quite the journey for Immich over the past 2 years, and the community has been a huge part of that. I'm Zach, and here with me today is Aaron Wolf, founder and software author at Futo, Lewis Rossman, as well as Alex and Jason from the Immich team. I'm sure most of you haven't heard of Futo or Aaron before our announcement, so I'll hand over to Aaron so he can talk a little about Futo and their mission.
Yeah, so I'm Aaron Wolf. I started Futo. The idea behind Futo was just, I was a software, and I still am a software, developer who likes building consumer apps. I built Yahoo Games way back in the day, and kind of have done it over the years. And I've always considered it my job to make great software, as somebody who can program. And a kind of thing that always bugged me about Silicon Valley was that we can't, there wasn't the market incentives were not as aligned as well as they should have been towards creating great software. I mean, we can go into tons of detail on this, but basically the mission of Futo is to kind of give engineers the environment that I think should exist for them to create great software for people that has no hidden agenda, that's a very honest relationship with your customers, And so that's what Futo is. And then so Lewis has been helping us at Futo for almost 2 years, I think 2 years now,
Yeah.
and more than 2 years. And Lewis found Immich, and it seemed like, wow, these guys are like they're doing great work in their free time. Like, imagine how great it would be if they actually can like focus on this product full time the way they should be able to. I mean, they all had, I don't want to disparage their former employers, but they were like not the best. They were the hidden agenda kind of software. So I'm really happy that they're going to be able to focus on making Immich great for for the people. So that's like this is hopefully an informal thing, so like we can just kind of I don't want to take too much time.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, this is a big change for us at Immich, and we understand some of you have concerns of us joining Futo. So we want to address those questions directly. This came about a few months ago when an account called Lewis Rossman joined our Discord and started messaging us about an opportunity to partner with a company called Futo to get funding for the project and work on Immich full time. We all knew who Lewis was, but thought this was a scam until we checked out his linked accounts and saw his YouTube account with 2 million subscribers verified on Discord. So after chatting with Lewis, we realized that this was a great opportunity for Immich, and our values and goals aligned perfectly with Futo's. So Lewis, what made you decide Immich was a project worth your time and Futo's investment?
I'm kind of selfish. I use Nextcloud, and I don't really have to explain to you how even if you have an i7 14700K, how you'll see like 15 processes take 100% CPU because I'm scrolling 3 pages. And then I tried this, and it's like, this is actually good. And I just kept looking through. I'm like, okay, where are the bugs? Where's the catch? Where does it suck? And it doesn't suck. It just does the job. Like most Android phones nowadays don't come with a micro SD card slot. The ones that do come with a micro SD card slot don't allow me to actually run an operating system of my choice. They often have lock bootloaders. So if I want to get access to all my pictures, I either have to pay quadruple for a phone that has mildly more storage, which I'm just like mentally incapable of doing even if I can afford it, just because I know why you took the micro SD card slot away, or I can use software that makes me so miserable that I'd rather just not show photos to my friend than actually like sit there for 20 minutes while my Nextcloud server is like freezing. And this actually works. And like what you were doing is you're making good software. It works. There's no trackers. There's no ads. Like if I search for cat on chair, I can actually find pictures from 8 years ago of my cat sitting on a chair. And one of the main problems that I see right now is it's not even that like there's software out there that's expensive. It's if you want stuff like this, fundamentally, there's no choice because the entire community has chosen this model of I am okay with having software that's injected with ads and junk, or I'm okay being in Apple's closed ecosystem. So the problem is like for a lot of people that want software like this, even if you're willing to pay, there is no option. So like, we want to make software that has no ads, no trackers. We want to have software that is genuinely better than what Apple or Google are offering. And in my opinion, you're already offering that. Like I find this to be genuinely better than Google Photos. So if that's our mission, like why not give money to this and try to make it into like, have you guys work on it full time and then really like get all the bugs and kinks out, whatever they are, so that this actually can be an experience where I can hand this application to my stepmom and she could have a way to run this with, and options to run it where you're not doing Docker pull whatever. Like when I tell my stepmom that, she's like, oh, like there's a boat. And, it's like I can't explain, like I can't explain Docker to my mom. She's 70 years old. She has a ball mouse. She has like one of the only USB ball mice, and she every morning she takes her compressed air and her Q-tip, and she's like, what are you doing with this? Let me buy you a laser. And she's like, but this still works. Like I'm just not going to get her to use some, she uses Google Photos because why not? I want this to be a piece of software where my stepmom can use this without requiring me as a server administrator. And admittedly, just the selfish point of I want something that's not Nextcloud by far.
Cool. Yeah, so as well as Lewis and Aaron, we have Alex here. Do you want to do a quick intro?
Yeah, so for those who don't know me, I'm Alex, kind of the benevolent dictator of Immich, and it's all come from my wife request one day, hey, why don't you build me a Google Photos, because I don't want to pay for Google Photos anymore, and I always like to tinker and to build things on my free time. So I take this opportunity, to build something useful for my wife. It's, okay, yeah, I'm gonna build you one, and the rest is history. So with that being said, now I have a really great team, and then I got to join a really cool opportunity here to work for Iran and to work with Lewis. So this nothing better than to have your dream come true. And I'm really excited to to share this journey with you all and yeah, with the team here. So
Cool. And Jason, do you want to do a quick intro?
Sure. I'm Jason, and I started working with Alex and Zach probably like a year and a half ago. But this is the first open source project I've contributed to, but it's been really cool because the community's great. Like contributing on this project has been like very fun to work on. I also like Aaron, a programmer. I like making software that works well and like has the features I want in it. And so I have a photo collection. I need it. I've been looking for something like this for a long time. And then, Alex posted on Reddit and I followed the project and then he said like what the tech stack was. It's like what I use in my work every day. And I was like, oh, wow, like this is a perfect opportunity for me to do open source for a project I care about and need to use in my own personal life. And then it's just been a really fun project to contribute to. And yeah, it's like a great community. It's a great thing to work on, and I've been pretty excited and happy to work on it. The problem I have normally is like spending too much time doing it. So yeah, it's kind of cool now. I get to do it full time because yeah, that's what I wanted to do for a while now. So
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I'm Zach. Also been part of the core team for like 2 years. So yeah, I think we've done plenty of talking. I don't think so. I think let's get started with the questions. So yeah, the first question with like 200 and something votes, which is crazy, is how does Futo intend to fund Immich? Will there be monetization, and if so, in what form?
All right, so that's kind of a three-pronged question. So there's how do we immediately intend to fund it, and what are the two funding methods later? So the first funding method, we've committed to millions of dollars over a course of several years in contract, and that is from Aaron's money from investments and everything else. He has the money to fund that immediately. The two other prongs of how we want to make money off of this are A, getting people to buy software, and B, if people think that Docker is a boat, essentially they to be able to pay for a cloud-hosted solution where they can just, like sign up, pay a certain amount of money a month, and not have to worry about making their own servers. So like one person asked over here, can someone make a tutorial for how to get this set up? I want to use it so bad, but I am just new to this. Again, like they're like people like my mom that think that docking is for a boat and not for, a self-hosted container that is a better way of doing things in a virtual machine. I want her to be able to pay like $5 to $20 a month and have somebody else deal with this. So when it comes to monetization, you may wonder, well, this software is open source. It's AGPL, I believe. It's age. So like, what do you mean charge for it? And this is why this is what we're trying to do here. Yes, the software, it's very similar to what Richard Stallman has said, is I will pay for any software on earth as long as it's free. And, he's talking about there is essentially like, I'll pay for stuff, but as long as I can see the source code and I have some freedom with it. So yes, if you want to use this software, technically there are no DRM. There's no trackers. The source code is right there. But we are asking people to pay for it. And we're not calling it a donation because we don't want it to seem like charity. Again, we are spending millions and millions of dollars on the development of the software. We want people to be able to put a full-time level of development in. And if you use the software, again, like there's no way for me to tell that you're using this for free. There's no way for you to there's no way for me to limit you in any way. But we are asking people to pay for it. And we want to figure this out. This is an experiment for us. As I said, fundamentally, there's no choices for a lot of different pieces of software if you want to get out of Google or Apple's ecosystem. There's fundamentally no choice. You're going to either be spied on or you're going to have, a device that's essentially completely locked down and you're at the mercy of Tim Cook. We're doing an experiment. If we create something that's good, that doesn't abuse you, that's better than their solution, are you open to paying for it? And that's essentially the monetization strategy. If you want to, comment on that at all.
I mean, yeah, this is the way things used to be. I mean, it was Yahoo who actually started developing the software model of the user is actually the product you're delivering to the advertiser, and so that's how most software is developed these days. That for in the consumer space, so there's no way we're gonna like our software. In my opinion, our software sucks now. Like it's worse than it was 20 years ago. And I mean, we have like a lot cooler tech for the internet and stuff, but like in terms of like just like scrolling around and stuff, it's just buggy and stuff. So, the only way I see to get this software good is like we do have Google and Facebook and Apple dominating. and the only way to get the software good is if we can get to a a model where there's an honest relationship between people making software. So I don't want just Futo to be doing this. I want everybody to be doing this. You make software that's good, you spend time on it, and there's no hidden agenda in the software. Like pretty much every other piece of software you use, there's a hidden agenda. No, it's just like, you do like the software, great, pay for it, done. Like, that's it.
Yeah, cool. Do you want to comment at all on that, or should we move to the next one?
We can move to the next one.
Somebody complimented your attitude on Discord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just nice and fascinating, nice and helpful. Very.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. Like we think that we put out something out there, so we have the responsibility to help the people that use it. So I think that's attitude that help with the community grow as well. So thank you for that.
Cool. So the next one, which is kind of a similar vein, these first few are. But yeah, what sort of return on investment is Futo looking for when funding the Immich team?
I shouldn't speak too much for Aaron, but I imagine he would be happy if the millions of dollars that he put into it, he managed to get back from people that are like, yeah, this software is, I could install it for free. Nobody will know, but I think this is so good that I would like to pay for it. And I think that is the hope, that the return on investment is that, essentially that the money spent on development, it would be nice if that was made back by people that actually decide to pay for it. Because again, this is kind of an experiment. Are people willing to pay? It's very obvious from every single large company that they find it more profitable to inject software with ads, malware, spyware, or say that we're not going to have spyware, but you have to use it on our insanely difficult device that you can't fix, that breaks very easily, and buy a new one every time it breaks. We want to see, if we give you this option and it's honest and it's open, are people actually willing to pay for it? So yeah, the return on investment would be the amount of money spent on it. It would be nice if that was something that we'd be able to make back through people honestly paying for the software, and also through being open to paying for the cloud services in the future. The target person would be somebody who reads that New York Times article I talked about in 2021, where Google essentially went through somebody's photos, reported them to the police over medical photos, and then had a 1-year investigation. If you don't want to deal with that and you're open to paying us, we will provide you with a solution. Or again, as somebody mentioned in chat, it seems like you could host it on your own. You could you'll still be able to make your own self-hosted server. But if you like that product enough, essentially, are you open to paying for it? Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm the one who's supposed to be like, where's I want like a 10x like in Silicon Valley, like people in my situation, like, I need a 10x returner, it's not worth my time. I think that I actually find that attitude vulgar. We've done way better than we should have in Silicon Valley, based on kind of like the realities of kind of the capitalism in the information age. I have enough money to be happy, and lose everything that we invest. So I'm happy investing, and I want this to become sustainable. So if the 3 years from now, it's making enough to pay all your guys' salary and whatever other extra costs there are, that's great. That's a huge success. There's the kind of the 10x, 100x returns that people want in Silicon Valley. The only way you get that is by abusing customers, and we're not going to do that.
Yeah, and on someone just said in chat about us paying for the cloud service makes sense, but do we expect people to pay even when self-hosting? I think essentially yes, that's what we're trying to foster. It will always be available for free, but the idea is that people will pay because you are getting something back. You're getting the software. That has to be developed. People have to spend their time doing that. And there's if you're not paying for it, for a lot of these open source projects, you're basically relying on people to give their free time to develop it, which is what we want to try and move away from, right?
Yeah, definitely. I do you want to have a lot of people are just going to be are bitch all the time about this current state of things, and why is all this software so bad? Why is Google doing all this awful stuff to me? Why is Apple gouging me? Okay, well, you're at the end of the day, you're part of that system. So if you want that system to end, you got to realistically look at it and say well, okay, like what is the way to make it so that software developers, aren't incentivized to do this kind of software that we don't like.
Cool. I think we can move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, how does Futo make money? Where does this money come from? I learned nothing is free. You always pay somehow. I think we covered a lot of that in the last one.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's no hidden agenda. It's very simple. Pay us for the
yeah,
software.
yeah,
Yeah, like how does Futo make money? It's from people paying for software. Now, like the fact that that is a question in and of itself, I think demonstrates the absurdity of the culture that we have. Like on our website, we have the 5 pillars of the software is A, if there's a server to go with the client, you need to be able to host your own server. B, no ads, trackers, spyware, or the customer is the product as a business model. C, no crypto shitcoins. I've like just no like B, open source, and 5, don't suck. So yeah, like the fact that that is a question. Well, gee, you guys are asking people to pay money for open source software. How do you make money? Like the fact that that is actually, I'm like, I don't want to insult the person who made the question. I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is the fact that that is actually a question demonstrates how effed up our culture is, more so than this being a bad question. So yeah, where does the money come from? You. Like, do you think that this is good? We're asking people to pay for it. We're not calling it a donation, and we're not calling it free software because we want people to pay for it. Do you have the ability to use it for free? Yes, but we're hoping that if we put, if we honestly put out our product and we say, yeah, the trial period is indefinite, and you can read the source code if you want, that will develop enough goodwill that people will say, yeah, you know what, yeah, I'll pay $5 for this. So when somebody asked if I self-host my own instance, why should I pay? Because they coded it. Like I can't code this. I can barely do, chapter 1 of Dennis Ritchie's C programming. Like I'm not. It would take me 10 years to build this shit. So like the fact that this is simply using Nextcloud for photos and then using this, I immediately want to pay them just as a thank you for making something that doesn't suck. Like the fact that I could search for cat on chair and then 3 seconds later, like literally using their machine learning algorithm to find a 10-year-old photo of cat on chair with Immich is faster than scrolling through 8 photos with Nextcloud. So yeah, like I would pay for that. So you're right. Nothing is free. You always pay 100%. We're asking you to pay for the software. Again, if you don't pay, it'll work, but we're asking you to pay.
Maybe I'll just say one more thing too. Like, ever since the beginning of Immich, something that Alex has talked about is like the motivation for him for building this has been to create a better future for his children. Like he wants them to have access to quality software that works well and like fills this need that he has had personally. And I think we've gotten a big community around that idea. There's lots of people who want like quality software in this space, and so they're willing to help contribute and build it. So I think like an extension of that is like, do we want better software solutions out there in the world in general for our children and like in the future? And like if we continue down the current model, it seems unlikely that that will happen. And so like the motivation to pay isn't even necessarily like just the value proposition you get from Immich. It's like, do you want the world to be a better place? And like something you can do individually is help support those projects that you use and help better your life. And if we can change a little bit of the culture around that model, I think it can lead to a more positive future down the road.
Yeah, I'm kind of a an idealistic kind of guy. I believe in doing something good without expecting a lot of returns. And like like of course we can work on this on our free time indefinitely. But then well, it's gonna destroy our life in terms of the mental health and the thing that we put out there. So yeah, to be able to work on it and to make a living out of it honestly, uh, I think it's a win-win for everybody to be in this cause together.
cool. All right. So yeah, the next one is asking what would happen to Immich if Futo went under in the future. So I mean, I think we can probably answer that one. Like at the end of the day, like the code is still all open source. Like Futo is not like going under. Like Aaron is funding it personally. But like the whole idea behind this is like, yeah, it's still AGPL. The code is out there. Like if someone wanted to, even outside of our team, they could fork it and just start building a different version of Immich. So like at the end of the day, like we would just carry on like we were before Futo.
I think maybe I'll say too, like over the past like month or two, we had obviously had conversations with Futo about joining, and like we had a lot of these same concerns. We asked a lot of these same questions, but like even before we asked some of those questions, like Futo kind of surprisingly was like, also by the way, we want to make sure you guys can maintain ownership of Immich even if we like did something stupid and we like parted ways. Like I think one of the values and morals of Futo is like the creators of these software projects can maintain ownership and control. And so even from the onset, it was something that they expressed was important to them that we have that same ownership, regardless of like how this partnership works out down the road. So I think that was nice to hear, and it's been something that's been important to them from the beginning. So I think, you know, if Futo goes under, like Immich in some form or another will continue to exist as long as we are willing to continue working on it.
Yeah, that's really up to the community. Like one of the things I like to say is essentially you shouldn't trust us. Anything that we say here, like one of the things I say on my own YouTube channel about the things I talk about personally outside of Futo is just don't trust me. I should create a system where you don't have to trust what it is that I say. So, you know, if I release guides, repair guides, those are released from a 501c3 nonprofit. I can't just take them down and copyright strike somebody if they copy those guides. With the software being AGPL, the absolute worst case scenario, Aaron gets hit by a bus. They stop getting paid their salary at some point because, you know, there is money in the company for several years afterwards, even if that happens. But like they get paid for several years. When they stop getting paid, let's say they say the moment they stop getting paid, I like getting paid to work on this, I'm never working on it again. At that point, it's AGPL. So then essentially you guys would be the ones maintaining it and continuing it. So like, but I imagine worst case scenario, if something happens here, they would go back to the old arrangement that they had prior of working on it and getting donations from all of you on GitHub or you know, Patreon or whatever else. That's that.
Yeah, I mean, not something like this is Futo is like the rest of my life. Like I don't like I've been very successful in Silicon Valley. This is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. So it's not going under. I'm going to keep funding it. Like, you know, we can we're burning money a lot slower than we can afford or I can afford now because we need to find good engineers. We need to get this ecosystem rolling. So don't worry about Futo going under. Like we're going to, you know, you got everybody here. Like my intention is that we're going to beat Apple and we're going to beat Google sometime in the next, 10, 15 years. So you guys were all here at the start, which is it's going to be great.
Awkward time to cough. Go.
All right, cool. So yeah. So the next one, will Futo have any access whatsoever to my content as someone self-hosting Immich, analytics, or AI of any kind built into the platform that they can access?
So yeah, like again, as I said, we prefer to create systems where you don't have to trust anything that comes out of my mouth. It is open source. Review it for yourself and see. But again, one of the 5 pillars of our software is one of them. The main ones is no ads, no tracking, no DRM, and no business models where essentially the customer is the product. If somebody applies for a grant or somebody wants to work here, and that is at all their business model, it's just out the door, delete the email. We have no interest in it. But yeah, like in terms of the AI, my instance is not allowed to connect to the internet. I only access it via a VPN. It's in a virtual machine that essentially is blocked from going out onto the internet. And again, I can still search for cat on chair and see Mr. Clinton screaming at me from a chair. So the AI and that does the search to figure out like who are the different names of the different people in your library, and allows you to search by the name of the person once you tag it. All of that works without having access to the internet. And like that's the way it was before, and that's the way it'll be now. But you don't have to trust us. That's the beauty of AGPL.
I mean, I do want to we do have, at some point we're going to have an honest conversation about tracking. So we're not going to be doing ads. We're never going to be doing that. There's like to make quality software, there are like things you have to do to understand how your users are utilizing your software. Obviously it's all open so people see exactly what we're doing. I think we talked yesterday about even having, a policy, like a Futo wide policy of how telemetry is done, where like everything that we see, you also see in terms of the usage patterns. I don't know, like it's an interesting like kind of question of, how do we deal with this fact that like, there there's like the extreme of like we don't do anything to know what you're doing, and that'll make there's like a kind of like a fringe of people who really want nothing. But like one of the reasons why we don't have great, like I kind of have the opinion that like with present company excluded, most of the time open source software is not as good as public as the Google and it's always Google and Facebook, whatever, all that software out there. Like, why is it not as good? Well, part of it is like they don't, there's no telemetry. So like, I don't know. Like, it's an open question. Like, we have a guy from Signal here in the building, and like, one of his, it's like really hard for them to make Signal good without that kind of data. So,
Yeah, we also like before even like talking with Futo, before any of this was like even discussed, like we already like were working on like some kind of telemetry. Like there's a PR that was like draft a while ago. We just never got around to actually doing it. But like telemetry is super useful. Like one of the main things we struggle with right now is like which features are used by the most users, like which versions are used, like how old the versions are. And like especially moving into like a place where we like moving into a stable version of Immich, like knowing how many users are using your older versions and need like security fixes or bug fixes backported is like also super important. It's like that stuff is really, without that, it makes it very difficult to make informed decisions. But like even if we do add telemetry, like it will still be like completely like able to opt out. Like as Lewis says, like his instance is completely locked off from the internet. Like you don't trust us, you can do that.
Yeah, one of the software that we kind of look into to see how we can do this and not infringe on your privacy on your privacy is SyncThing. So SyncThing has a public kind of report of the telemetry that they gather, and then they show that to the whole community. And also there are some software that show you, okay, I opt in to send to the creator of the software of the version of my instant, and then this is the payload that gets sent out. So that is something that we want to be transparent, and we want to show that to you, so you know exactly what type of data is being sent out. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to send any of these, just opt out, easy peasy.
Cool. So yeah, will Immich undergo an independent security audit after Futo takes over? So yeah, we've wanted to do this for like quite a while, and I think one of the things that funding from Futo will bring is the ability to have that kind of thing. So like get people in to do a security audit. We also have someone in the Futo team with a security background.
we have several. Well, we have, I would say, at least 2 or 3 really
Yeah.
good security people. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we have options open to us now to do that kind of thing. So yeah, we definitely want to do that.
Yeah, I remember one of the first things I asked you was like, if you had this amount of money, like right after you realized this was not a Nigerian prince asking you to wire 100,000 to get 1 million. Like you told me that, like I asked us like, what would you want to do if you had funding? And that was the first thing that they mentioned was they'd want a security audit. And like, again, we have people here that are actually developing similar photo sharing software, but that software is essentially designed fundamentally from the ground up to be completely secure and 10 encryption and everything. And this has been working on for several years. So, we have security researchers in the building, as well as also, if they want an independent security audit, that's part of what the funding is there for. And like, I remember one of the things, I believe it was a Frigate, as well as this, they see when you guys said like essentially run it behind a VPN. It would be nice to kind of like tighten up security in those ways so that that's not something that has to be done. Me personally, I don't run it without internet access, not because I don't trust you. It's because I know I'm a shit server administrator and I don't.
You don't trust yourself.
Yeah, it is, some mildly some of the best security researcher in the world that hates my guts. So I don't open anything to the internet of my home anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay, so will anyone still be able to volunteer on image development in GitHub? I believe you wanted to like talk on
Oh
as well.
yeah, I can answer that. This is an easy one. At least the answer is yes. Like I think Immich currently has, I think, like 400 total contributors that have submitted changes to the project, and so like there's 3 of us here, and that is a very small number compared to like 400 unique contributors. So like obviously the community contributing to the project is like a big part of it. I think too there's a beauty in open source, which is like if you find something that you want or dislike and it's a priority for you but not necessarily for the core contributors, like you have the prerogative to go build that or fix that annoying, not pixel perfect, padding. And yes, we will still accept contributions from other developers, and people can still volunteer their time to help make Immich better.
Yeah, and Immich is still a community project. We listen to you, we read all the feature requests, we debate on it, we talked about it. So, it's still gonna be the same. So, please help us to contribute bug fixing and testing it out. The end of the day, the software is yours.
yeah, one of the things that Aaron talked about at Yahoo is that it didn't seem to be like well, it didn't sound like an environment where it was engineering driven or engineers led the way. So like the reason that they answered that question is like that's the project leads here is, and the engineering leads essentially get to make all these decisions, not us. So like we'd rather the engineers make the decisions, so it's less like Ed, if you want to describe like how that was like it.
Well, yeah, well, Yahoo failed for that I believe for that reason that engineers were the one were leading the project. Like the best products out there are engineer led. So that's absolutely to the maybe it might be frustrating to the few non-engineers here at Futo that they are kind of second class citizens, and this is like my revenge for all the people at Yahoo who they're having to bear the brunt of my animosity towards all the people at Yahoo who made my life miserable or made Paul Graham's life miserable or whoever. Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw one of the questions in the live chat that wasn't here was just, if you have anything about what the company culture is like here. So I figured that was worth putting in there. Like that, yes, the opposite of Yahoo, engineer-led, engineer-driven. They make the decisions, not middle management, not, the person that's paying for the project. So like if they didn't want GitHub contributors versus they did, like I'm not saying anything, Aaron's not saying anything about it. That's up to them.
Yeah, and someone also mentioned about the contributions. Like, yeah, we've said it like on Discord, but yeah, like the project will be staying AGPL. There will be no CLA. Like that person said, we should probably clear that up on here. So
Maybe
pretty good idea.
maybe I'll just add too. Like it's a little bit interesting because like we're now a part of Futo and we have funding and our values align and a lot of things are going to be good for us. Both moving forward. But there's all these questions of like, well, is this changing? Is this changing? And it's like, I don't know. There's really not that much changing. Like we have partnered with Futo, and there's a lot of good opportunities to make Immich better and like, make it more polished. But like, yeah, the license is the same. Like contributing is the same. Like the team's the same. Like there's just so many parts of it that are not changing. So I think the answer to a lot of these questions is like, no, how the community interacts with Immich is going to be really similar. And so, yeah, a lot of stuff is going to be exactly the same as it was prior to this announcement and partnership.
Yeah. Okay. So, did I? Yeah, we did this one.
No, I think I answered that one
Yeah.
with the previous one.
Yeah. So the Immich logo / brand and name will belong to Futo. How could a potential fork legally be like with it still being recognized as Immich? I mean, I feel like with these kind of things, like look at Redis recently, like they forked that because they like changed their license, which is not something we're gonna do. But like if you decided to like that we were not going the right direction with this and the community was behind that, then they could like easily fork and get people behind a different version of Immich with a completely different name. Like this is not the first time that kind of thing has happened. So Do you need to say anything?
I think maybe I'll just clear up like one of the parts of this arrangement is like Futo is willing to fund Immich and give us resources for that. But one of the things that they get in exchange is ownership of the Immich trademark and logo and brand. And if for whatever reason like we part ways or something like that happens, like there is a possibility they might just give it back to us, because like if they're not going to pay people to work on it, like I don't know if they have much value in holding that hostage.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the reason why this is important to us is things like if you look at something like NewPipe, which is like, you know, by the way, we have a much better thing called Gray J, but like NewPipe is NewPipe is a app that lets you you know, watch videos, and it's open source. And then all these companies, all these like really shady companies, you know, in like third world countries, decided to take NewPipe and like put it in the Play Store and add all these ads to it. And so the only way to like stop that is, you know, you do have to wield a little bit of you know, of a stick against that sort of thing. Now, if there was a, you know, if there was a legitimate like parting of the ways between Alex and like some other group of developers and they were actually really wanting to call their thing Immich too. I don't know why you would want to call it Immich, like if you're not like working with Alex, but then we'd like maybe talk to you about how, you know, what our expectations are, because we want the Immich brand and the Futo brand to mean things. We want it to mean that, you know, there's no malware. It's, you know, it's like it's a very pure experience you're going to have using our software. So that's what the trademark is for you to have that kind of, you know, not have to look through hundreds of thousands of lines of source code to see if software is good. Like, hopefully, if we're successful, you'll be able to look at software in the future. If you see the Immich trademark, if you see the Futo trademark, you're going to know that it's, you know, not going to be messing with you.
yeah, it's interesting because I think this is question essentially like what's the purpose of a trademark, and like why do we have a trademark, and like they exist for a reason. And like that's going to play a role in like how if a fork happens or something like that happens, like those questions will have effect.
Yeah, we don't want to have a situation that someone put like an image 2 on the Play Store, and then you download it and then it delete everything on your phone. So those are the things that we want to, you know, to avoid, because with the Immich being trademarked, then you can have a takedown notice, so the app won't be on the App Store anymore.
If we don't like the direction Futo takes Immich, will a pre-Futo version of Immich be available that we don't have to update and can remain stable locally? I think, like, with the way that the project is on Git, every version is available, every commit ever made is available. With the way AGPL works, even if a license change happened, all the past stuff, all the past versions that were AGPL would still be AGPL. Like, so if you didn't like the direction, you can fork from any point. That's just how Git works, and it will be there. Like, there are like 1,500 forks of the project or something. Like, those remain completely untouched. Like, even if the project went private, which is what someone asked in Discord before, like, all those forks are still public. Like, all the code is still available. Yeah.
I trust the community, the Reddit community, data hoarders when it comes to that. Like, again,
Yeah.
if it's AGPL, like if you know, if like they do, like, hypothetically speaking, like if we get hacked and somebody logs into that GitHub and like deletes everything, you know, you have it. It's AGPL. You're not doing anything wrong. The data hoarders people know what to do with all that type of stuff. And again, like the part of what he said when he was talking about the Futo brand, what we want to build, we want to be trustworthy by way of not requiring that you trust us with software. Somebody's like, you know, I don't want to, like one of the chat members says, I don't want to trust this person. As I said, like probably 10 minutes before you joined, don't trust anything. Like, it's AGPL. You could look at the source code. You could look at how we're doing things. We want a brand where you trust us because you don't have to trust us, essentially. So, well, you know, can you install an older one? It's AGPL. It's on GitHub. It's not going away. And if it did go away, somebody's going to have a copy of it somewhere. And there's nothing wrong with you doing that because it's AGPL and has no trackers and has no spyware. So if you were to use an old version, like, we have no way of knowing. And you're more than welcome to. But like when you say, I don't like the direction that we take it, again, this kind of goes back to what Aaron was saying about being an engineering driven company. Like, when I talked to them, I didn't say you need to do this, you need to do that. It was like, what would you want to do if you had money? What kind of timeline would you want to do these things in? And like, also, the one thing that we asked is like, hey, are you open to like engineering this in a way to where like there could be an option where my stepmom could use it later. But for the most part, we want them to add the features that they want to add, that based on your user input. One of the last questions was like, if, you know, are you not going to be able to take user input anymore or influence? If anything, I think it should be more influence by way of they can work on this full time. And so it's like, it's not that you have more of a say. You still have the same percentage say that you did before versus the features Alex and the team want to add. But since they're working full time on it, when you ask for something, there may be a higher likelihood of a yes, just by virtue of they don't have to balance that with a full time job anymore. But the direction that this goes in is up to them. It's not up to me. As long as they follow those 5 pillars, like allow people to self-host if they want, you know, no ads, no trackers, no spyware, open source, and, you know, can't suck and no crypto shitcoins. As long as those 5 things are followed, they make the decisions, not me.
Okay, so another thing around like the trademarks, like I'm working on something called Immich Stat, a self-hosted companion website that shows in-depth statistics of my Immich instance. Will I be able to still use the name Immich?
I can talk about that if you want, I guess. Like, long story short, like a lot of us are not trademark lawyers, and there are some rules and restrictions around trademarks, and like there are ways to let some projects use it in a predetermined way. So like part of a trademark is enforcing your trademark, and so like there is going to be some of that, but like we'll figure out all the details, and I'm sure there'll be a way to have community apps that we know are like not officially sponsored by Futo and Immich, but like are, you know, third-party community projects. Like those will still obviously exist to some form, but like, yeah, we'll figure out all the details about like what that means for the trademark moving forward and stuff in the future. That's what lawyers exist for, I hear. So that's one of the, I'll just say, one of the benefits of working at Futo is like, if I and Alex and Zach were trying to figure this out, we would just like not do it, because like we don't want to spend time dealing with this stuff. But at Futo, I hear they have a way you can just like send someone off and make it happen, and like we don't have to deal with it.
I mean,
is that right?
It's
Like,
probably
as an engineer, I don't have
Ian
to do
would
this.
say it's not. Yes, but Ian might say it's not that easy. But yeah.
Okay, so Futo seems, this one's going to be interesting. Futo seems heavily involved and invested in blockchain. Is Immich going to be changing this way? What if we don't want to be associated with crypto, blockchain, etc.?
That's on you.
I don't know where you got this. Where you got this impression. Like, we also don't want to be associated with crypto, blockchain, etc. We certainly like, you know, we certainly like people using their. We don't want cryptocurrency to be banned, and we love people doing what they want with their computers. And I actually do have a respect for Bitcoin and things like it's a cool protocol. But you know, that whole area has turned into a total shit show. With lots of grifting going on, and so it's just we're just avoiding it. We're using Stripe for our payments, which is kind of sad. But like we always want to be agnostic about cryptocurrency. We're never going to be showing a coin. Don't worry. Like that's a dishonest relationship. That most people in cryptocurrency have dishonest relationships with the people that they're getting money from. We want to have an honest relationship with you, which means we will not be showing a crypto token.
I like the answer you gave in the office the other day better, if you want to. I 100% approve of you giving that answer.
I forgot what it was.
What the fuck made you think that?
What the fuck made you think this?
Yeah, like it's literally, it's essentially,
I mean,
it's on our website.
Kind of like, this is like, yeah, it is kind of important because, yeah, I do want to, like, this is a real question. Like, why would you think this? Like, what are we doing wrong that made you think this? Like, we did something wrong because it's totally against everything we believe in here at Futo.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the website. Like, we don't want crypto agnostic and no shitcoins.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm reading the chats. That whoever asked that question might not be here, or maybe they're just like
Staying quiet.
staying quiet.
All right, Aaron, what can you tell the people who believe this is probably going to ruin this amazing project on the long run? Would you put out an official statement about no ads, data miners, or paid features?
That's on our website already.
Yeah,
so essentially, one of the 5 pillars of it is,
Yeah, I mean, we have the official statements. Like, I don't know, we can't probably do more than we've already done there in terms of, you know, like this is actually very important to me. You know, you know, in Silicon Valley, you see acquisitions happen all the time, and like, you know, you can look at just there's those graveyards of acquisitions that happen at companies like Yahoo that I was at. I was an acqui-hire at Yahoo, and you know, things went really well for about a year, and then, you know, yeah, things suck, and you know, I think the important thing here is a safety valve. And the safety valve when something goes wrong is that this is all open source, and you know, everybody can kind of like, if Futo starts screwing things up, even if you can't use the Immich trademark, you can, like, you see this all the time in the open source community, like things fork and like they rebrand or whatever. So like, you know, it's very important to me to do no harm. Um, and I am aware of these problems that can happen. Like I think, you know, I've spent a very large portion of my time thinking about this very problem, about how do companies destroy their acquisitions, and like how to stop that from happening. So, you know, we're going to work really hard to make sure that doesn't happen here.
Yeah, I wouldn't see us putting out an official statement for Immich, because it would imply that Immich is in some way an exception to everything else. So I would, like, we have a statement out that essentially says one of the 5 pillars is no ads, no data mining, no DRM. That doesn't apply to Immich. That applies to anything that we grant money to, anything we invest in. Like, anything that we do, we fundamentally cannot have that. If anything, if any of the software that we work on has that, it would be a means to just kick it out altogether. So it wouldn't be a statement for Immich. It's just a statement in general, company-wide. And like, as he said, you know, there was a lot of thought put into why it is, you know, we're asking you to trust this brand name based on the fact that you don't have to trust the brand name. Like I don't, you know, it gets like FFmpeg, libav, OpenOffice, LibreOffice. If you ever see ads in the software, which you won't, like, you know, fork.
Cool. So will Immich stay on GitHub or be moving to the Futo GitLab? So we'll be staying on GitHub. Like, one of the main things that I think has really worked well for Immich is that, like, how easy it is for people to contribute. Like, most of it's written in like TypeScript, which plenty of people can write. Like, it's on GitHub, it's easily like accessible. Like, most engineers have a GitHub account already, so it's very discoverable there. And we also have like our dev tooling is built in GitHub as well. So yeah, we have no plans to move from GitHub.
Yeah, I'm going to put in like, you guys are staying on GitHub. This is unfortunate. I think Microsoft tries to obscure the fact that they own GitHub. So, you know, the long-term goal of the Futo would be that we don't have Microsoft in such a powerful position over all open source software. So maybe if, you know, hopefully we'll be successful in the long run, and everything you get out of GitHub, you will get from some other system that isn't so reliant on big tech. But for now, yeah, GitHub is, you know, we're obviously, we're on YouTube, and, you know, we don't like that YouTube has monopolized things. We're working on it. That's all I can say, is we're working on it.
Yeah, like from a pragmatic and practical point of view, like, we do have communications on Discord. I know that was one of the questions, like, are you going to push something else? You know, we do use some of these, like, again, we're hosting this on YouTube, but for the most part, if our pillars are, you must be able to self-host your own instance, we want it to be open source. Like, for us, the reason that we are using these instead of, you know, a platform owned by Microsoft is, like, we want to kind of live our own values with our own software. But, like, again, from a pragmatic point of view, we realize that that's not always possible, but we try to go towards that ourselves. Like, for us to use Discord as our primary company communications, when we, like, one of our own pillars is we do not fund software where you cannot self-host your own instance, it just creates this kind of like hypocritical look that we try to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, we are also using Zulip, so Discord is going to stay up, but also all the cool kids are going to be on Zulip if you want to come to chat.futo.org.
Yeah, like, it was just kind of a thing of trying to live your own ethics. And I remember the reason that you liked it is because you tried it on a So Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. You said you do your work on a Raspberry Pi because you can't load web browsers and shit fast.
I was being super schizo when I was first setting up my office in our last office.
You can't distract yourself with other stuff if your computer takes 30 seconds to load a web browser.
I stopped using the Raspberry Pi though. It was just not working.
Yeah, but like, Zulip was the only software that actually loaded stuff quickly. Like Discord and everything else, Matrix, oh my God. But like Zulip was just instant on a Raspberry Pi, and also the self-hosting your own instance and everything else. But yeah, anyway.
Cool. So we kind of answered this earlier, I think. So we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, AGPL, like, yeah.
Yeah. Is Futo/Immich looking for more developers to join full or part time? Our pay ranges are disclosed.
Yes, we are. We are growing, trying to grow at a reasonable rate. So, we can't just hire 20 people tomorrow, but I would love, we have a nice office here in Austin. It's a little empty right now, and we'd love to have, love to have more people here. So yes, we are hiring. Jobs. I think our website has a job postings even. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for the Immich team itself, like the Immich team will remain like this size for at least a while. And for the pay ranges, like we aren't disclosing like anything with regard to budgeting or financials. Just like if it was like a donation, like some open source projects like donation, they're completely open with the donations, then that's like a different scenario. But because the funding is not donations, it's coming from a company, like it would be pretty odd for a company to be disclosing all that kind of stuff, I think.
I mean, it's some companies have tried it. I mean, Futo is in many ways trying to be like a normal company, and I haven't really read about this, but I think there's companies who have tried having open salary. I think your organization even is open on how much people make or something, right?
Yeah, I let them
Yeah.
know because I essentially,
Yeah.
if you think something's unfair, I want you to come
Yeah.
to me and ask so that I can tell you why.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
motivates
actually kind of open to more unorthodox company governance, but
Yeah, like-
we're doing a lot of things orthodox if we don't have a strong opinion about it.
Yeah, like if you want to know like why somebody makes more, I'll just, okay, can you take a cracked micro SD card, put 40 wires on it and get the data back? Like when you can do that, I'll pay you what I pay him. Like I want the salaries to be open because I feel like it's a motivator for people to up their game. Or like, if he turns 1-star reviews into 5-star reviews by calling them, you turn 5-star reviews into 1-star reviews when they talk to you. So like, it's stuff like that where like open salaries, I think, are a good thing because you get to understand why somebody is making more. And I hope that is a motivator for you to want to, up your game and do what the other people are doing.
Okay, so how will very long-term project maintenance work now that funding is suspended outside Futo and now that the IP has been transferred? Like, we have plans for like things that like we've talked about, like the app becoming like a optional paid like app, and there are plenty of other ways. Like for Immich specifically, like cloud is really like the thing that will eventually make it sustainable on its own. Like cloud is like such an obvious thing for Immich to do, and it's something again we were like talking about before Futo. So yeah, that eventually that will come for sure. What conditions did Futo set? Will you still be able to accept donations from other people? Will they own the source code?
So the conditions, yeah, again, the 5 pillars that we talked about, it must be open source. You must be allowed, if there's anything that's client server, you have to be allowed to host your own server. That's non-negotiable. So we can't like make a cloud instance and then say you can't own your own server. That's bullshit. The third is no shitcoins, no cryptocurrency stuff involved in there. If you do cryptocurrency, it has to be like crypto agnostic. You can't make your own coin and then only accept payment in it. If you want to take payment, we use Stripe, so any credit card. And if you want it, like if we were to implement cryptocurrency in the future, if they want to, it has to be something where you're accepting like, the range of them, not just your own coin that you make. No ads, no trackers, no spyware, no the customer is the product as a business model. And above all, again, this is the reason that I found it. After using Nextcloud, it can't suck. So those are the 5 conditions that are set. Those are Aaron's pillars that he told me about when he first contacted me in 2020, before they were kind of official. That's what you were going for. Those 5 have to be followed, not just for them, but for everyone. And they were obviously doing that already. So there. And in terms of donations, we're really just kind of asking people to, I believe that you guys suspended it at that point. We're paying, I think Aaron's committed to a mildly higher amount than what was coming in before from donations, to put it mildly. Like they're like several $1 million already. So like that was, and when it comes to owning source code, like I'll let Aaron answer that one.
I mean, this is like the ownership of source code in this area without CLAs is complicated. We own their source code, and uh, that's the way it is. Like it's complicated though, and honestly, I don't think a lot of these things have even really been worked out completely legally. So, um, we're basically going on the premise that we own the source code for Immich, and pay us to use it, but but still a commitment to being open and reproducible builds, all that stuff that are important. So.
Cool. I think we'll probably do like one or two more. It's almost an hour now. And a lot of them are getting very repetitive.
Can I do all the annoying ones? I like the annoying ones. I want a challenge. Like send me the list you said yesterday. Actually, you already sent it to me, so I can go off those if they want to leave. If they want to like get lunch or something, I have fun doing the annoying ones.
I mean, we can leave you to like scroll through all of the remaining ones. With, like,
I'll
one
happily
vote.
do that. I find that like, I talk for a living.
I saw one earlier, Lance. It was what's your motto? Unofficially, it's if you do not master your computer will become your master.
Yeah. Someone said in chat that Google's "Don't be evil" is available as well.
I mean, yeah, that was the motto for our conference that we had a month ago, so ago. But yeah, I mean, we got just everything we build here is like kind of based on that premise. Is like the computer in your pocket should be your computer. It shouldn't be a tool for people to abuse you. So everything we're building, and I'm gonna plug our other stuff too. Like we got, like I mentioned GrayJ earlier. Like it's a great thing. We've got a micro-posting platform that's very, very like decentralized and lets kind of like anybody become a moderator or anybody be it's very, very cool. I can't really go into the details here, but check out our stuff. Like we're like I'm actually real like I never like imagined starting this with Ian 3 or 4 years ago. We'd have so many high quality engineers working on cool stuff here, and like we already have some cool stuff out, and it's gonna get better and better and better. I'm really excited.
And even when it comes to imaging software, like this Immich serves one niche, and there we are also working on another one called Circles that fulfills a different niche. There are certain with end-to-end encryption using Matrix as a protocol. It's photo sharing for people that want the ultimate in security and encryption. Like that's something that serves a different niche. Charles had said before, I did not want my children ever being seen by Mark Zuckerberg, and that was his influence to build it. So we're also working on these types of software as well that we're going to be releasing at some point. So yeah, we want you to check out all these things, and we're going to try to have something for everybody when it comes to these different niches. And they all they work together, they collaborate, and that's part of the fun.
Okay, so Futo has given a grant to Zulip on Immich's Discord. Someone recently was pushing Zulip. Is Futo going to force the community to migrate to Zulip?
So I think there's two ways to answer this question. There's a truthful way, and then there's also the what the person meant when they asked it. So in terms of migrating people to Zulip, we're not looking to do that. They again, project leads and engineers get to decide these things. I don't get to say use this. That's fundamentally part of what Aaron said about the problem with Yahoo is that the engineers didn't get to decide how the project is run. The engineers are the manager of their product. So if they want to use Discord, they use Discord. If they switch to something else, that's because it was their decision. They want to continue using Discord. Now, in terms of the meaning behind the question, Futo's given a grant to Zulip. Are you going to force people to use Zulip? I feel like a small part of that is kind of implying that there was an investment in Zulip, and because there's an investment in Zulip, we are now going to try to buy up every project in the world and force them to use this chat medium so that Aaron can make more money. Like Aaron has given hundreds of thousands of dollars to Signal, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. That is not an investment. That is a donation. You fundamentally can ask for something in return when you make that type of donation. Like there are things that, he gave money to my nonprofit. There are lots of things I do that he likes. There are some things I do that he doesn't, and doesn't matter. It's a donation. With Zulip, again, the reason that we gave that donation, not investment, is because when you look at their principles, it follows ours. Zulip allows you to self-host your own instance. Discord does not. That's one of our pillars. Zulip is open source. Discord is not. Discord has, you can't guarantee privacy with Discord in the same way that you can with Zulip. So in that way that we're trying to live our own ethics, it would not make sense for us to not use, and more importantly, pay for and donate to software that follows our 5 pillars. So we use that internally because it would seem somewhat hypocritical and odd if we use software that doesn't align with our own values. But in terms of what they want to use, we're pragmatic. We realize that Zulip is going to have 0.0001% of the users, and Discord is 99% of them. So in order for you guys to interact with them and really interact with them in order to talk about bugs, talk about features, talk about code contributions, that's happening on Discord, and we're not going to change that overnight.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just this is a kind of the whole. This is actually really close to me. Like the communication software, just that's what Yahoo Games was basically, a chat rooms with games associated. And yeah, we gave a grant to Zulip because it was kind of it's called dog fooding, where okay, we're trying to figure out what the alternatives to big tech are, how good they are, how bad they are. Zulip turned out to be the best one, so we decided to support them, and we use that for our company. I'll be honest, I like Discord better. I had a lot of fun with my guild playing, World of Warcraft, and hanging out in their Discord server. And it's just it's Discord's got its flaws. Zulip's got more flaws, but it kind of checks way more of the boxes that are important to Futo. Long term, hey, maybe there's going to be a Futo communications, that's as good as Discord, better than Discord, better than Microsoft Teams. I would love to have that. I would love to have something in this space that doesn't suck. I think I think you can kind of, I think we kind of know it, that if we try to use Matrix or whatever, these things that just don't act, they don't do as well. And so, yeah, we want to raise the bar. We don't want to raise the bar. We want Zulip to be better, or if Zulip's not going to be better, we want to make something that's better.
And just to comment on that, when you say this is an engineering-led company and a management-led company, the thing that impressed you about Zulip first was this shit is fast on a Raspberry Pi. Aaron, if you look at his project, Fubs, he wants to, he has a program that he wrote, the building towers of Hanoi. You have a Pinebook. You hit the power button, and 1 second later, the program is running. That's what he's trying to build.
I think it's 400 milliseconds.
I fucking quit. Anyway, the point is being an engineering-led company, that is what led him to say we are not just the 5 pillars; those are important, but the most important one, 5, don't suck. That is what made him excited about it, because those types of details matter. It's an engineering-led company. We want to have elite programmers here, not elite managers, not douchebags in a Banana Republic polo shirt. Even though you need it from time to time. But the idea is with even one of the things I remember him showing me is he likes Signal. He thinks that it's more tell me if I'm wrong. It's more somewhat honest about the end-to-end encryption that's happening immediately than Telegram, where you actually have to open a locked chat, which probably 1% of the people do. But he was showing me when you click the chat in Telegram, it loads a certain number of milliseconds faster that I have not counted, but it is faster than Signal technically. And we notice those things. We care about those things. By we, I mean him. I'm taking credit for his eye. But those types of programmatic things are important. And it really is an engineering-led company in that way. If we see a product that's doing better and follows those pillars, we'll use it. Does Signal load as fast as Telegram now when you click the message, or is there still
It's hard to, you'd have to.
380.5 millisecond lag?
Telegram's doing something to feel snappier. I don't know. I just feel snappier.
It is.
The other day with my company in the Plato company, I noticed that they did a new version of Hearts, and it felt sluggish. And it's just little things it turns out it was the off press that was triggering the event and not the down press. Little things like that can make a huge difference. And then it was funny because John Carmack talked about this 1 week later. He was like, "Oh my God, I fought this battle." Completely independently, John Carmack's "I have fought this battle so many times that it has to be the down press that triggers the event." Things like that matter. People notice it. Telegram is, hitting 1 billion users for a reason. It's Telegram is kind of in a lot of ways, we aspire to be what Telegram is. We're not sure about the hidden agenda with Telegram. We don't want to have a hidden agenda, but Telegram is really good software. It's not big tech. The clients are open, so it already loses a lot of points for not having the servers be open. But in terms of how good that client runs, that's Immich. It's just that client runs well. You can just tell that people who built that client really care about making the client run well.
I think we're kind of at the top of the hour too, but we've talked a lot about like what it means for Immich joining Futo and like what's changing, what's not changing. But I guess one of the things we probably could maybe just wrap up with, one of the things that is changing is like we have a few full-time developers working on Immich, so presumably things are going to get done faster. And one of the things we've been working on this trip at least is like coming up with a roadmap for Immich and like some of the things we want to achieve in the like near future. Like the most obvious one is like going stable and like what are the steps to get there. So I don't know, maybe Alex can talk about like what this means for the Immich team going forward, and maybe some of the things that we've talked about doing, some of the goals we have, and maybe after that we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I think the big thing is so now we get to work on this full time. It means that we can dedicate our full attention to Immich to make it better, pushing out more features and fixing more bugs. And also another change thing is that the mental health overall of the core team gonna be better, is because we don't feel burnout of working, basically similar to working two jobs. And yeah, and like just make the software overall better and give the community the support that it needs. Um, yeah, I think that's what make great software, right? Great support, great software.
Feel free to say no, but will you be if there's like other? I think a lot of the people they're asking less. So some of them are like less Immich associated questions and more just their own questions about the organization. Like if you guys want to get lunch or something, you mind if I answer some of the?
I
rest
mean,
of them?
the like lower ones are like more Immich related.
One of the
We could just power through them like 30 seconds.
I don't want to
question.
office space and keep you all here for that, but I don't
Yeah,
mind answering the rest
go.
of them.
Let's spend some time. Like Ian, maybe if you know some questions that you want to highlight. If you want to highlight some questions, we'll spend a few more minutes.
Okay, well, the next one is how did Futo pay attention to us? So
Yeah, like so, when I started working here, I was using Google for my contacts, Google Keep for my notes, and it's just like, well, what am I doing? Am I making? I'm working for this company that wants to make these solutions, and one of the primary ways to actually do that is stop using all the stuff cold turkey, and then find the alternatives that don't suck. So in my own natural life of trying to find things that don't suck that do all of this, that's how I come across these types of projects. Like Alex, that's creating the Futo keyboard with a voice to text that, in my opinion, works better than Google's considerably. Like this project that works better than Google Photos or Nextcloud. So like I try to use these things myself, or like with camera software like Frigate versus using GeoVision. So, when I started here, I'm not like, I know Richard Stallman does this thing where he has a laptop. He chooses his laptop based on having an open BIOS, to the point where a few years ago I believe he had a laptop that could not suspend, like it just didn't have an S3 state. I'm not that level of purist, but like I'm not in that level of purist. I'm not going to be. But as I pursue just slowly de-googling and de-close sourcing my life, that's how I find these things. And I just kind of explore, try it at home, see what sucks, see what doesn't. And when something doesn't suck, it's like, man, it would be really great. And it follows all the 5 pillars. It would be great to try and make it something that is better, give them the funding to do it. And then also see if, once it's done, like, are people actually willing to pay for stuff that doesn't suck? And like Aaron also, like, he also finds things to give grants to from time to time. We do have a grants email, and like sometimes he sees pieces of software that he thinks are delightful, and we all kind of have on the lookout for it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just, if you got more to say, I was just going to go on to the next one.
No, yeah, next one.
Yeah, so as a company, can I still offer infrastructure and support for running Immich for my users? So not selling Immich, but selling the online service to people interested in FOSS without IT skills or hardware. Yes.
I mean, we might not want you to use the Immich trademark.
Yeah.
I think you guys have that in your roadmap as having that service. So
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if this is like cloud or like helping people.
oh, I see.
Like,
oh, okay, like
run it
consulting
at home.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, I misread. Yeah, I mean, again, like I would say, these are going to wind up being trademark issues that, like, calling it Immich, calling your service like Immich Consulting, might not be something you can do. I mean, or maybe you have a caveat. I don't know. Like we have to kind of get you good answers. It would have to be at the very least a caveat that like you're not like endorsed by Futo or the core Immich team. And then if you wanted to be endorsed by us, we would talk to you.
So I guess one of the questions would be, like, my business name is Rossman Repair Group Inc., but my doing business name as, which I had in my sign, was Mac Laptop Repair Specialist. And Apple never went after me for this, but almost everybody else that had something like that in their name, they would go after for trademark. So I think what they're asking is like, if somebody had, I don't know, Immich Repair Spec, like, would you do the thing that Apple does to the companies like this to Immich if somebody's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, trademarks are all about, clarifying things for consumers. So as long as we don't see that consumers are getting misled about anything, I think we'd be okay with it.
Also, this isn't on the list, but just since I saw it there, and I think it's a good one from an engineering point of view, is encryption on your mind. There are less good software apps offering encryption. Like one of the Aaron's beliefs is like, don't compromise or ruin a product to try to implement something like that. Like, have it as a separate product if you want to. Like, so Circles is the application that if you care about that over the features that Immich offers and admittedly over the loading speed that Immich offers, that is its own separate product. We wouldn't want to try to you don't want to try to like cram a triangle into a circle there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just wave a magic wand and say, oh, it has encryption now, or even you can't even just invest money and have encryption all of a sudden. It's a trade-off. Like, and when we're saying encryption here, we're talking about where if somebody steals your computer at home, they don't have access to your photos. So you could build something so that there's like it's end-to-end encrypted, whatever. And you lose a lot of features with that because you need to do all this analysis of the data on the server. So you just can't, you're going to lose features if you add that encryption feature there. And like Lewis said, if you care about that aspect, we have the Circles product. So use Circles, and in that situation, you don't have to worry where your photos are being hosted. Nobody has access to them except you with your private key on your phone.
Yes, like when we create, let's say, a cloud service for that versus this, if your idea is, listen, I can't feel comfortable without end-to-end encryption, we can't, like, I'm not going to get a 400 millisecond load time searching for cat on chair in Circles, but you do get end-to-end, you do have more encryption features with that. It's designed with security in mind for the ground up, so that should be its own product. And for me, my compromise is I just have, when I install Debian for my server, I just tell it to encrypt the disk. So if somebody like steals my computer, they unplug it, good luck getting access to it anyway. But next one.
I think this is the most important one.
Yep.
We yeah, I mean, Aaron literally
just
spoke
talked about
it
this yesterday, yeah.
So he suggested it without us even prompting. So we do want to do merch.
Yeah, we have to do it for all of our stuff.
Yeah.
We need more merch. We need a merch store.
Yeah.
As crass as that is, like, no, we need it.
I have a few catchphrases available.
I'm open to lending the Mr. Clinton trademark over.
I can give you one right here. I have 99 problem, but my privacy ain't one.
Was there anything that came close to preventing Immich from joining Futo, like a major disagreement?
There was not.
No.
I was never worried. I mean, I was never worried on our end. I was only worried that things might be worrisome to you.
Yeah.
There's one funny comment that I will never repeat.
Are there any plans to integrate Immich with any of the other Futo projects, example Circles, in the future?
I mean, the plan for Futo is to beat Google, to beat Microsoft, to beat Facebook. So, all those companies have very good infrastructure teams that, when you're writing software, you use this tool or that tool, or you use this system. You don't want to force any of those things though. So we're very much just focused on kind of building the products as good as they can be independently. But, should there be, as we grow, there's going to have to be like infrastructure teams here who are kind of responsible for, making those things work. Like if you've ever like programmed an Android app, I've done this, like there's all these things that Google Play Services does for you that, just locks you into Google and locks your users into Google. And well, what is the solution to that? Well, Futo needs to be looking at that and finding what is the solution that kind of lets you be free of Google and have all those things work as well as, Google Photos works, whatever.
Yeah, one of the things that Aaron said he was trying to build essentially with with this organization is primarily a team of really elite engineers that are working on these projects, but more importantly, like the idea that they collaborate to some sense. So, the person working on Circles, Charles, he is, an experienced and mature security researcher that is also working on this. So it would be nice to just kind of have the type of environment where you could like walk down the hall and say, we're looking to do a security audit. What do you recommend? Who should we go to? Would you be open to looking at this? Like, it's not the type of thing where you're trying to cram one product into the other so that they wind up both sucking because they're, instead of trying to do different goals, they're both, to compromising each other for it. But just like having that cross pollination of ideas is really kind of what I think you were going for.
That's a big part of it. Yep.
Okay, so are we ever going to have a stable release that just gets bug fixes and security updates? If so, when? I mean, while we've been out here, like we literally came up with like our rough roadmap for what that will look like, and we will probably make that public at some point. Not sure when. But yeah, we don't have a time frame on that. We're not gonna like.
But it's a goal that we want to go to have a stable release that we don't push out breaking changes. I mean, maybe between major version, but it's not gonna be between a minor version of the app.
Yeah, don't worry. When we go to stable, we will use semantic releases properly. We aren't using semantic releases now. It's just a weird version number. Can we share some future features? Looking forward to something like a baked-in duplicate photo finder, auto add face to albums, fine-tuning machine learning features, and maybe highlight videos.
Yes, to all those.
Yeah,
I think the duplicate photo finder is like in the works, like almost the server piece is at least almost done, and like UI is like work in progress. Auto add face to albums is like another one that's like currently in the works. There's like a bigger kind of way we're thinking of doing that would add options for like a lot of other custom like rules and stuff. So like that's something we've talking about and it's in the works. Fine-tuning machine learning features. I think there's already a bunch of stuff you can do in that regard, and we'll probably add a few more things in the future.
Yeah, the duplicate photo finder, I think like one of the, I guess the unspoken sixth pillar of Futo software is the, like if Nextcloud has it as a feature, they have to have it better. So Nextcloud has a duplicate finder already. So like,
is this your own personal pillar list now?
Yeah. If Nextcloud has it, if Nextcloud Photos has it, it must be better here. So yeah, like a deduplicator would be interesting.
All right, so you want a deduplicator. What's like off your personal list? What's your like top thing that you want to build?
I think it's gonna be the automation workflow. So it's like what Jason said that we in work about that. Basically, we can give you rules. So maybe when a photo is uploaded, then you can create a custom rule that it get added into an album with this person in the album, or maybe send a webhook somewhere. So we want to make it really versatile so that eventually it can be built into a plugged-in system in the future.
Cool.
What about you, Zach? What's your most wanted features?
Yeah, I think we've all got like a really long list of things we want to add. But I think I think I've said this every time, but like, I think this doesn't come until we have like a stable image. But I really want to add like federation so that you can have like your image instance and like someone else's image instance. And eventually when cloud like comes, like cloud can integrate as well. And then you have like an album, for example, that has all your photos from your server and like your friend's server, and you can all add them, but they live on the individual servers, and it's all like one like harmonious image, like federated cluster basically. So yeah, that's kind of like my like big like long-term like plan.
And so this is an unofficial question, but I think it's a really important opportunity for Aaron to say one of the main things he believes in. It seems like you're throwing away money with no plan for profitability. And again, just like fundamentally the idea that there is no plan, like it is open source, how that, like, of course there's no profitability. That I think is a fundamental problem with the culture. You have a lot of open source software that gets 75 to 80% of what it needs, and it never gets the rest. Like, I could use audio plugins and video editing software from 2002. I can't use audio plugins in Kdenlive in 2024. Like we want open source software to be something where it's not considered by default. Wait, what do you mean? You're spending money on development? Of course you're not going to make money. That's a fundamental problem with the culture. And it's why we're to the point where you literally don't have a choice for certain verticals to get something that doesn't suck. unless you want to just be spied on, tracked, or be stuck in Apple's ecosystem. Like one of the things that drives us nuts is that there are projects where even if it is open source and free, the simple act of saying, would you pay for it? There are certain people that frown upon that in this kind of communistic way. Like you're literally not even allowed to ask for money. Like how dare you ask for money to feed your family or pay your rent while you're producing software that millions of people use? And like I think that I find it detestable, and I think Aaron does too. But I like you. This is one of the main things that you've discussed, and I really think it would be great to have your input on it.
Like kind of like the attitude of like I do think there's are you talking about kind of the fact that big tech has abused people for so long that they just don't trust anything, any kind of free market solution?
Not that, just like the attitude in open source that if you even ask for somebody to
Yeah.
pay for the software, there are people out
Okay.
there that will actually get mad at you for
Okay,
that,
I
even
think
if it's
that's related.
AGPL.
Yeah, and I do think that is. I think the people who get triggered by people asking to get paid are like they've been abused by big tech monopolies for so long. They might not even remember a time when like the free market was working properly, that they just have an instinctive distrust of any time people mention free market. And we're going for the free. I want the free market to work. Like and if it's that's what we're going for. If you disagree, if you think all software should be owned by the commons, yeah, it's okay. It's okay for you to try to do that, but don't bother us. Is what I would say. Like that's not what we're going for here.
Yeah, like, one of the first thing that Aaron told me when I had my first phone call with him after I realized that I was not wiring 100K to an IG. I think the first thing I remember saying when he calls, like, yeah, let me tell me more about the 100K. I have to, send to a king, F you. But then like, when we had our second conversation after like I Googled and I'm like, oh shit, that kind of fucked that up. Was he was saying that the idea it has to be open source. Again, AGPL. So, but simultaneously, like we want there to be pride and ownership. We want people to actually, instead of just getting that dopamine kick from, oh cool, this works. Oh, UI. Like we want that last 25% to be there, and we want there to be pride and ownership. We want them to take pride and ownership of like owning the software, actually caring about it, getting to the 100% level. And one of the main things Aaron has talked about every single day is a desire to change the culture in open source to where there is that pride and ownership, where people actually go the end of it, the 100%, not just with Apache and VSFTPD and those and FFmpeg, but with actual consumer-facing software. Because and people say open source is winning because you have these underpinnings of the internet that are really good, but simultaneously, when it comes to a lot of this consumer-facing software, like Google and Apple won. We want there to be pride and ownership. We want the people that are programming it to have pride and ownership and actually care about making it good, care about it loading in 398 milliseconds, and like we want that stuff to matter. And above all, we want that's the simple culture of that is it seems like you're throwing money away with no plan for profitability. The simple idea that we have hired 3 engineers that are sitting here to work on this software, and like just the salary for 3 engineers, of course you're never going to make that money back if it's AGPL. I believe that's a fundamental problem with the culture, that is it is a concern, but the fact that is a concern and the fact that you saying that does not make you an irrational person is the problem with the culture that we would like to fix. Like if we release trustworthy software, that doesn't suck, like will you pay for it? Fixing the culture is the number one goal.
I think that kind of some of the attitude of the open source community, some of these, like most of it's really good, but like, yeah, it's they don't realize. The end goal is to have good software. And what we've wound up is with a situation where there's a lot of open source things, and Yahoo did this, like Google does this, Facebook does it. They take the open source thing and then they take it and make it into malware. But they polish it enough so that people will use it. And so kind of like a lot of, unless we can fix this fundamental problem of having like there be incentive for engineers to actually take pride in doing that instead of Google or Facebook or Apple, like we have to change the culture. And so if you're just like, oh well, let's just keep going the way we're going, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. Things have gotten worse. Like our software is getting worse. So we're definitely like not just kind of like, hey, like open source, yeah, we're gonna just like, how can we help? No, it's like we're actually trying to change things.
I know it's a derailment, but just like since the change in the culture thing is the number one thing you care about, that needs a mention.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that as well. Like, like from the start in every release that I put in, please support us by these means. And one of those monetary mean. So I think, you know, like we put in the work. So this is okay to ask, hey, would you like to pay for the software if it's good and if you like it? And we give you that option.
So that was, yeah, that was good. Quite a tangent. Jason, what feature would you like to do next? What you'd like to build next?
Sure, right. That question. Mine's not quite as big as your federation feature, but one thing I want is to get a notification when pictures are added to an album, or like when my partner takes pictures, I want to be notified that there's new pictures available. So, I mean, I think it's in there now, but we haven't released it. There's like an email integration. So when you sign up, you can get an email. And I think we have like some of those building blocks in place so we can expand in the future to where like when certain events happen or an album shared with you, maybe you can get an email. Also like mobile notifications for like, yeah, when pictures are added. So like I have some stuff I want to see happen in the notification space when it comes to Immich and like different events in the system. So I think that's something I might spend some time on in the near future.
Cool. We have 2 questions left. So, will Louis Rossmann promote Immich as a Google Photos iCloud alternative on his YouTube channel?
I already have in some videos. I haven't done a dedicated video on it, primarily because I know I want to demo the software, and I know if I scroll through my stuff with my just general ADHD careless brain, I'm going to show some shit that I'm going to regret showing that I forget to censor. Like, because essentially, you know, I censor personal stuff, but how do I, if I want to show how fast it loads and I just have a block over all my photos. So, you know, if you guys have a demo account, like I would love to,
instance.
I'd love to demo it, but I'd also like to copy the demo instance over to Nextcloud just so I can show the difference here. Like if you have all
Yeah, we can give
if
you
you
the
have all the stock
assets.
photos, what I would like to do is I would like to say, let me do this with Nextcloud. Let me do this with Immich. It's on the exact same computer, same virtual machine, same hardware, same client. You know, I would like to go through that in detail, but I have, you know, talked about this as software in live streams, and also I've mentioned it in the middle of some of my videos where I talk about open source software. But yeah, like I would absolutely like to, because I've gone over some things on my channel that I thought were better, some things that I thought were better that okay, sometimes that didn't go as well as I wanted. I'm not going to talk about that, but for every other one, like I've talked about things that I like PF Sense with PF Blocker NG for ad blocking and everything else. And yeah, I already have a plan to kind of go over this because I want more people to know that this exists, because I don't think it's an alternative. I just think it's better. Like fundamentally, I think it's better software.
Oh yeah,
Closing
I
words?
mean, like let's just talk about like all the stuff that I'll show Futo. Like, you know, we have lunches. Join our chat. We've got jobs@futo.org is our email address for if you want to work with us. And again, check out all of our products: Circles, Polycentric, our keyboard, which is just called the keyboard, Gray J. Like they're all great things. So yeah, and obviously Immich. I'm so happy to have Immich.
Yeah.
Like we would like to thank you, the community, because without your support, we wouldn't be here today. So big thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
All right. Well,
that's all. Thanks everyone for coming, and yeah.
That's it for
We'll see
today. And
you.
as always, I hope you learned something. Actually, your catchphrase. I'm supposed to use
If you do
yours.
not master your computer will become your master.
If you do not master your computer will become your master. Now you have to do my catchphrase.
I hope you learned something.
All right. See you around.
peace.
See ya.